Good morning and welcome to Thursday's edition of Morning Brews. My name, of course, is Ryan Smeltz, and this morning I want to talk to you about consistency. Before we jump into it, I will say thank you for tuning in and listening to these episodes. I would like to clarify what I said in the previous episode about the audio-only versions being subscription. Basically, what that means is normally when I upload to distribute the content, I only use video, and iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all those extract the audio from the video. So for the most part, all of our content will continue to be free. The only ones that will appear behind the paywall are older episodes if they were only either distributed or produced in audio form. I hope that's not too confusing. Just know that if you do want to watch the video version and you use Spotify more than any other media player, we do have the video versions of this podcast on Spotify as well as YouTube and Facebook. So please enjoy, take some value away, and share with your friends. Basically, what I want to talk about consistency today. Inside of consistency, there's several different layers to this I want to unwrap, and I am shooting from the hip again, so forgive me if I trip and stumble just a little bit, but I always relate things back to the Army when I talk about them. Obviously, that is where the bulk of my experience comes from. I was in the Army for 10 years, and I saw both good and bad examples of consistency, and I've seen both good and bad examples of consistency outside of the Army as well. So I'm going to give you Army examples, civilian life examples, and then of course one or two personal examples as well. Inside of the military, being more general in my approach with that, the number one example I'm going to give you of consistency is PT. The difference in PT throughout the entire United States Army is the time zone. Other than that, at 6:30 every single morning, all over the world, the U.S. Army is waking up and going to PT. Of course, there are exceptions to that. If someone works at a TMC or Troop Medical Center, maybe they have to be there at 0500 in order to help in process and take care of anyone that may be sick or injured and reporting to sick call that morning. So they are probably not in formation. But generally speaking, anyone in some sort of line unit, anyone who is part of a larger size element, even the warrant officers who do PT on their own, some individuals who work out are also waking up, going to the gym at 6:30 in the morning. The entire post is alive. Everyone's running, doing push-ups, sit-ups, some type of PT. Down at Fort Hood on Thursdays once in a while, under one of our old first sergeants, we used to do combatives on Thursday, but it was still every morning at 6:30. What does that do? What does that mean? Well, number one, you get used to it. It's a routine. So what that consistency in exercise allows people to do is, number one, if they're at a certain level, they can maintain it. Number two, there's absolutely no question to anyone in the Army, in any unit, what time they have to be where. PT formation is almost always at the same place. Once again, there are exceptions to that. If they're taking a PT test, they might be going to a track where they can run the 2 mile after they get done with the push-ups and sit-ups portion. I'm dating myself in that statement. Any veterans will understand what I'm talking about. However, my point is, with a few exceptions, everybody knows where to be and when. The same goes for the uniform. Of course, you still have short sleeves and shorts, long sleeves, jacket, pants, shoes, PT belt, PT cap, all of these different things, gloves if it gets extremely cold, and the unit commander or first sergeant, platoon sergeant may be able to tell you, hey, downgrade or go grab your jackets and put those on. But it's always the same jacket. It's always the same PT shirt. They all look the same. So inside of that consistency, even though there are a couple variations to it, you never have to worry about what color. It kind of comes back to the concept of Steve Jobs always wearing the same shirt and jeans on stage. He would never have to use one of his decisions that day to decide what he was going to wear. The same applies to the Army, and not just at PT, but also during regular work. They have a uniform, they have something they wear, it's the same one every single time, and they stick to it. It's very effective. So, I think I'll leave that as my military examples. I'll give you some civilian examples. One very specific one I'm going to use is kind of the flip side, a lack of consistency and where it caused problems in the organization. So there was a company where they did construction type work, and they had a very small sales team. They had 2 locations in the area, and the sales staff would wake up. They would have little to no information on where or what time their first estimates were. Then they would go to one of the locations. Sometimes they knew the day before which location they were going to, and sometimes they would get a text or a phone call the morning of, hey, go to the Raleigh location, go to the Cary location. And sometimes they would get to one of those locations and be told to go to the other one. Then there is the matter of the company vehicles. Sometimes they were told to use the company vehicles, that they could do that, and sometimes they were told they had to use their own personal vehicle. And then there was a lot of miscommunication inside of that company with the people doing the sales, as well as the owner and the general manager. So obviously, a couple of those things as far as the scheduling and which location to be at, and whether or not they were using their personal vehicles or a company vehicle, plays a lot into setting proper expectations. In your hiring process, if you're bringing on a sales staff or anyone else for that matter, you need to make sure to discuss things like that. Maybe if the person doesn't ask what site they're going to be reporting to, what time, maybe if they don't ask about a company vehicle, or maybe if as simple as pay structure, maybe they don't bring it up. That doesn't give you permission as the person doing the hiring to withhold that information. So it's definitely something you need to talk about, because then you're able to set those expectations. I think we can all agree, for the most part, that staff in general doesn't get a company vehicle. One major exception to that is if you're working for some type of contractor, they have to be able to get to and from the job, delivery company, stuff like that. If you are a certified trained technician in whatever field that is, you're probably going to be getting your own truck. If you had your own truck at your last company, you're being hired for an equal position, like not a trainee or apprentice in the next company, then more than likely you're talking in terms of your own truck. One of the questions those people might ask is, am I allowed to take it home every day? Because some places will let you do that and it's more advantageous for them, and other places say no, you have to park it at the company, drive to and from work every day. So discussing a company vehicle with someone before you hire them, if they don't bring it up, is important to setting those expectations. But I digress. The lack of consistency in what time and which location and whether or not the sales staff was driving a company vehicle is what I want to focus on, because now I'm going to transition a little bit into my individual life. Essentially, every day to work, I wear this hat, this hoodie, a pair of jeans, and some sneakers. Okay. Obviously, during the summertime, I'm probably wearing short sleeve and shorts. There is not a lot of fluctuation in what I wear to and from work. The same applies to the gym. Obviously, I have never been a person who is super interested in expensive clothes or a wide range of wardrobe options. However, it does simplify my life. Another example I'll give you is I always eat the same thing for breakfast every day. I've told people this. They think I'm crazy. Some people who really enjoy food and want a wide variety don't really like that. I will tell you, as discussed before, there are always exceptions to this. Maybe if it's really cold, I'll put something on underneath my sweatshirt or wear an additional jacket over top of it. Maybe if it's not so hot outside during the summertime, I'm wearing pants and a t-shirt instead of shorts and a t-shirt. And there are plenty of times with breakfast, if we're out of the typical eggs, bacon, and grits, then I'm doing a bowl of cereal. So I definitely have those options and have made those changes periodically. But generally speaking, I always wear the same thing. I always eat the same thing. I always record my podcast at the same time every morning. And what that does is it gives me the consistency to stick to a routine. Okay. So if one tiny little piece of effort consistently done throughout an extended period is going to yield any results, you'll get better results at doing more often. And how you get that done is through consistency. So once again, we've seen some pretty good examples in the military. We've seen some pretty bad examples on the civilian side of things. And then I give you a few real life examples straight from Ryan Smeltz. I hope that this has been helpful. Find areas where your organization or you as an individual lack consistency. Learn how you can improve consistency in those areas if it's within your organization. Make sure you ask for feedback from the people it directly affects. They may have some pretty good ideas and surprise you. And if it's in your own personal life, then I highly recommend taking a look at somebody like Steve Jobs. Another one, I listened to a podcast recently on YouTube where he was talking about your brain can only really handle a handful of important decisions throughout the day. So learn where you can eliminate decisions throughout the day because it doesn't matter as much. And when you do have to make a larger, more important decision for your own life or your business during the day, then you will have that brain power to better focus and execute on that decision than if you wasted it on what you were going to wear or what you were going to eat. Once again, I hope this has been valuable to you. I appreciate you listening. Go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. My name is Ryan Smeltz, and I will see you on tomorrow's episode of Morning Brews.